So, Java Studio Creator is the only tool that has the visual development for web tier applications. It's the only tool right now. So if you want to do the visual development, then you should use Creator. If you're looking to do more or only code-based development, then you can use NetBeans. But it means, really getting your hands dirty with JSF, with XML files, with Java code itself, and so on. And there's a lot of coding. What you can do is do some development in Java Studio Creator and import it into NetBeans. And they can actually share code with the code base. So there's no proprietary things in Creator that stops you from moving to NetBeans or Eclipse or JBuilder or wherever you want to go with it. So I hope that's clear. Yeah.
I have a question about the demo that you gave. You didn't write any line of code.
Yeah.
So would it be conceivable to develop from UML in the enterprise, from drawings, and to generate code, but without ever going to the code? Meaning that you don't care about the version of the code that has been generated. Maybe in 2 years you will be able to regenerate the same application, but in another version of Java.
Another version of Java. You can just address one of those points. One of those points is the UML tool in Java Studio Enterprise does generate code, and the UML system is fully two-way. So if the UML generates code, if you change the code, it will update the UML. There are no special markers in the files that stops you from moving to a different tool or a different platform. It does it all on the fly, so which is how you get the two-way basically. And you can take it to another tool and change it to another tool and bring it back into Enterprise, and it will generate the UML for you immediately. So long term, I think you're right. I think tools are becoming useful now. It used to, I'm sure all of you can agree with me when I say maybe 5-10 years ago, nobody wanted to use an IDE. Everybody wants to use VI, everybody wants to use Emacs or Edit or something like that, right? But now the tools are becoming useful and they're fast, and they're becoming allowed to be productive. So I think more and more the tools are becoming more important and relevant. And I think there will be more and more plugins and more utilities to help you do your development. Again, moving from Java 5 to Java 6 to take advantage of new features is something that I think Eric's gone. Eric alluded to this morning in a project called Project Jackpot, which came out of some labs. And this was a whole bunch of effort that we did in our R&D centres. And what it allows you to do is basically take a whole code base, and you can let Jackpot free on that code base, and it will go through your code searching for things and changing things. And those things are definable by you. One example is actually quite similar to what you alluded to, was Java 5 features. It will go through your code and find out the best things that you can tune for Java 5. So Project Jackpot is very powerful. It uses some kind of like a scripting type of resource to allow you to search your code. So you may want to take a look at that if you're interested in doing large changes in code, refactoring, and things like that. Any other questions on the tools? One more. So the question was, what about EJB 3.0? version NetBeans 5.5, the technical preview release, which is this basically, is going to be Sun Studio Enterprise 9. That does EJB3. It uses all of the Java EE5 features and will be the reference implementation. That will run on Glassfish, which is is the reference implementation app server for Java EE5, and it will be the first out the door. It will be the first tool to support the official release of Java EE5. So you can do it now if you download the version Enterprise NetBeans 5.5. You can do annotations, you can do EJB3 stuff, you can do all kinds of things you can with Java EE5. Question?
Yes, hello. I would like to know what is the level of integration with the struts. For example, let's say you already have an application using struts for satisfaction. Can you reuse it, and how far can you go?
So I'm going to cover struts in my talk this afternoon. I'm going to do a whole WebTier talk. NetBeans supports struts now, so you can import struts and use struts. Java Server Faces is our current view on WebTier frameworks. And with Shale that's coming up, have you heard of Shale? So Shale is a structured project now, and that's based on Java Server Faces. And I'll talk about that in the talk this afternoon. But Creator uses Java Server Faces. Thank you. You can use Java Studio Creator. I'm sorry? Okay, so Java Studio Creator will, as I said, will allow you to do the visual development. The resultant code that it generates is IDE neutral. So everybody, all your developers, Eclipse developers, can use that code and change it and modify it. Okay, let me just I'll repeat the question. The question was, what about all the developers use Eclipse? We want to use Creator too. How do they work together? So you can actually, the code that Creator creates, you can modify it in Eclipse and you can import it back into Creator. You can, obviously it's easier if you use Creator from a visual point of view to make the changes and re-export the code and give it to your Eclipse developers again. Moving forward, obviously the answer would be to move all your developers onto NetBeans. And that way, there's no problem. They can go into design and switch back and forth quite easy. But there's no big problem. It just means they have to have two tools, and you have to do some imports and exports every now and then. But they work together. Okay, one last question, and we'll move on.
Just for this thing, probably what you can do is link in Eclipse, because when you have an Eclipse project, you can link to external directories. So you can create a project in Java Studio Creator, and then in your Eclipse project, you add a new directory which is a link to the Java Studio Creator project. And so you would have no problem at all. You can use CVS in Eclipse to release Eclipse file and so on.
Right, yeah. Creator uses CVS as well, so you can obviously check in and out of the repository as you see fit with Eclipse and with Creator, sorry. So that's the benefits of standards, right? And no proprietariness, that you can use any tool you like. You can share the code and you can import it and export it and use different tools and things like that. And that's really hopefully what Sun's all about, and that's what you've heard this morning. So what I'll do is I'll move on with the next presentation, and